In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
These days, it seems like social media is a great place to, debate important life topics like this. What's the correct way to put on your shoes and socks?
Sock, shoe, tie, tie.
Sock, shoe, tie, shoe, tie.
Sock, shoe, tie, tie. Obviously.
I mean, it sounds like a dumb question, but it turns out a lot of us do it differently.
Yeah, so there's seems to be sort of three different thoughts. Sock, so put on both socks first, then both shoes, and then tie both at the end. The second option is sock, then the shoe on one foot, then you do the other foot, tie both at the end. And then sock, one shoe, tie, then the other shoe and tie. And I'm definitely in that third camp. Sock, shoe, tie.
I think I'm number two. I was thinking about it this morning.
Sock, shoe, and then tie both at the end. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just weird.
That's not weird. You're
yes,
weird.
It is.
You're weird for thinking it's weird. I don't know if I've always, I'm trying to think if I've always been that way. I think I've been more protective of my foot since the surgery.
So it's probably, if it's more of a protective thing of put the sock on and shoe on the foot that had
the surgery on it. I think so. Because I'm pretty sure.
But so you're not tying it? You're just leaving it untied while you do your other foot?
Yes.
That's what I think is weird, because I'd be like, I'm going to fall over and trip and hurt myself.
Well, I'm not getting up. Do you tie your shoes while you're standing up?
Yeah, and I usually put my foot up on the chair.
Oh, no, I'm sitting down.
Like, I'll stand up and put my...
That's because you're younger than me.
Also,
you get older, you enjoy sitting down. For as long as you can.
Well, it depends on... Sometimes it's just I'm busy, I'm trying to get out the door. I don't have time to sit down. But then I also was saying, too, I usually put my socks on first thing in the morning when I get up. Especially this time of year when it's cold. Keep my feet warm.
No, I have slippers for that.
Well, I put my socks on and then I put my slipper shoes on. I have slipper sandals.
I don't like socks and slippers. I don't like that. I don't like the feel of that.
You're weird.
You're weird for thinking it's weird. So I'm going to actually poll people, and thousands voted. And the last time we checked, the third option was most popular.
My option, the sock,
shoe, tie. And in second place is sock, shoe, tie. Those two got about 90% of the vote.
So you were in that 10% minority then, I guess.
I like being unique. I'm very unique.
Yeah, since you're all about the texture feel, apparently.
That's a whole other discussion for another day. But think about it. Give it some thought now about how you do it. And what is your preferred method. And now you're going to have to think about it. Because I'm pretty sure I used to be sock, then shoe, and then tie. Then tie them. But I think I've changed it up recently. I was thinking about it this morning.
Because I have my socks on, so then I stand and just prop my foot up on the chair.
Okay, who stands while you're putting sit down?
I'm working on my balance at the same time, David. It's like doing yoga, okay?
Stretches? You're getting stretches in early
I was practicing my balance. Got to put one foot up in the air.
I got a golden retriever. I feel like I would do that, and she'd come running over. What are we doing? And knock me over.
Yeah, but usually I do it after Coat is in his kennel, so we're good. And he's not going to run me over. Also, he's usually lying on the ground being like, can you go? I want to go back to sleep.
In a world where there's just way too many divisive topics to talk about, from politics and more, it's fun sometimes to talk about things like shoes and socks. Today we're asking about Thanksgiving dinner.
And the reason we're talking about Thanksgiving is, it's around the corner this coming weekend here in Canada. And according to data compiled by Dalhousie University's Agri-Food Analytics Lab, the prices for some of the Thanksgiving staples have increased by as much as 22% compared to the same time last year.
Wow.
So turkey is up per kilogram by an average of 15%. Potatoes, they're up 22%. Frozen corn will cost you 6% more. The price of bread, that's up 13% compared to last year. Turnips and bacon, not so bad. They're up 2%. Cranberries, though, are 12% more expensive. And the price of butter, up 13%.
And people looking to offset food prices by shopping for deals, they say they're in for a disappointment, too, as discounts are about 10% lower in value and a lot less of them available for
not as many deals. You got to search harder for them now.
Yeah, but the president of that one food company that owns several grocery stores in Canada was saying, "Oh no, it's just fear mongering." As he made $13 million last year, by the way, as a salary. Mm-hmm. $13 million.
1-3.
And they made $28 million as a company in profit in the last quarter. I think they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm. I think they're doing fine.
Yeah, as the rest of us and all of us need to eat.
Struggle?
And trying to get by. So that just led to our question today about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we want to know, have you already purchased all of the food you need for Thanksgiving dinner. I know some people, the grocery store is always insane. It's chaos.
Well, it's no big secret. Every time you go to the grocery store, it seems like your bill is getting larger and what you're getting back is getting smaller. We've got some ways to reduce your grocery bill without sacrificing too much nutrition.
Yes, we've got 5 tips for you. The first one is buy seasonal products. So, I mean, in the fall, that means cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, carrots, parsnips, squash, beets, apples, and pears are all in season right now. So you can get them locally, and then they're usually cheaper. So this is a good time to stock up and maybe freeze some of them.
And another way is buy frozen. Frozen options of fresh and off-season produce can be significantly cheaper than those imported vegetables and fruit.
And if you're throwing them into the oven to roast them anyway, it doesn't really matter. Another way to save money at the grocery store, trade meat for beans. Apparently beans and lentils are, much cheaper than meat, poultry, and fish. And they're also very nutritious. You can also try adding tofu to your menu. I know a lot of people do what they call Meatless Monday.
I mean, you're getting the beans, you're getting the protein, and you're also getting some fiber on top of it, too. Add sunflower seeds. They say it's a cheaper way than nuts and pumpkin seeds, an excellent source of vitamin E, antioxidant for you, good for brain function. Or if you're going to get a pumpkin locally, which we did, my wife was making some pumpkin, treats and things like that. But she also roasted all the seeds, and they were so good with some seasoning and stuff on it, too.
And you can do that with the squash seeds, too, if you buy any squash from a local stand. And finally, the last way that you can help reduce your grocery bill without sacrificing nutrition is reducing your food waste. And probably the best way to do that, create a weekly meal plan. I know some people don't like being stuck to a meal plan, but that way you only buy what you need and can also help you stop from, eating out or stopping at a fast food restaurant on your way home because you're like, oh no, I know what I'm going to have for dinner and you're looking forward to it.
And recycle those leftovers. As hard as it might be sometimes, but if you have something for dinner maybe 2 nights in a row, then take it for lunch on the third day. So we're not wasting, because we're all bad for it. Let's be honest. You go through the fridge, you go, oh man, I meant to eat that. It didn't happen. Here's a couple of tips for you, maybe to save a couple dollars. All right, we've got some law and disorder stories, and we've got 3 good ones for you this morning.
The first one involves grown adults fighting over laundry. When I first read this story, it just blew my mind. But a 27-year-old guy in Cleveland called 911 the other day because his sister touched his laundry. He's 27 years old. Sounds like he was doing all of his laundry at once because it was on his 3rd load when his sister was sick of waiting. So she took his clothes out to start doing her own laundry. Apparently both of them live with their grandmother, and it started a huge argument. So the brother called 911 to try to get the cops involved. Needless to say, they showed up, but it was to tell him that he was misusing 911, and that's not a good enough reason to call the police to report your sister for touching your laundry.
I mean, they're lucky they didn't get charged. Right? The fact that they let them off with a warning is amazing.
I mean, this seems like it should be a 13-year-old boy. A 13-year-old boy called 911 because his sister touched his laundry, not 27.
And the second story, wow, talking about getting angry. A Massachusetts man is accused of spraying several people with bear spray outside a restaurant. Allegedly, this guy named John was angry that a group of people had crossed in front of his vehicle while he was driving. Then he followed them and sprayed multiple people in front of the restaurant.
The patrons continued to walk towards the restaurant where the male followed them in his vehicle, got out of his car, and confronted the group that was crossing the road.
You just don't know what people are going to do and how they're going to react.
It also has a real high, fast rate of delivery compared to the OC that's designed to be used on humans. As you can imagine, when you're trying to spray a bear that's attacking you, or you want the high level with a large animal like that, it's a lot more concentrated and the delivery is faster.
And yes, it shoots out further because it's designed to keep some distance between you and the bear, enough to scare the bear away, not spray at people.
Yeah, it's got probably like 10 or 20 meters.
So now he's facing multiple charges.
Hopefully everyone's okay in that situation. And this story just blows my mind as well. But there's a lot of roadside fruit and vegetable stands here around Chatham-Kent, and a lot of them work on the honor system, right? There's like a lock box or a little cash box, and you throw your money in there for what you purchase, and sometimes you can make change. But one woman in Indiana took advantage of this. She's 67 years old, and she's now facing charges after stealing from one of these stands at least 18 times.
That's wild.
Apparently, she would reach into the box like she was making change, but then she'd walk off with a wad of money. She stole about $2,000 plus, a bunch of produce.
I love cone. Cone. I hope you have a cone-tastic day. It's cone.
Yeah,
it's
stole
awesome.
from a corn stand of all things.
So the family that owns the stand realized that money was going missing, so they put up a security camera, and that's when they caught her on video. But the best part of all of this is that she tried to deny it when they confronted her about it. She said, I only ever stopped at that stand a couple times this year.
Lie.
Then she said, no, I have dementia. No, never been diagnosed. And then she also said she couldn't drive. Well, then once they showed her footage, she finally admitted to it, and she's facing 18 counts of felony theft.
Because she kept going back and kept stealing more.
For all of $2,000, I don't think it's going to be worth it.
$2,000 and a lot of corn. It's National Noodle Day. Hard to believe that they're over 4,000 years old. In 2005, they found a pile of noodles in an overturned bowl in China buried under about 10 feet of dirt. So some toddler in China even was like, nah, I don't want to eat this.
So they were probably the first to make noodles over in China. Not the Italians like a lot of people think, but of course Italians. They have a very rich noodle history, of course, with pasta. Mm-hmm. And we've got some stats. Apparently, they polled about 1,000 people in Italy to find the top things that we are doing wrong when it comes to pasta.
Putting ketchup on it. 89% of Italians say it's unacceptable. But only 1 in 6 in the U.S. say, the same thing. They say, otherwise, go for it.
Cutting pasta with a knife, I say yes, but apparently 69% of Italians say no.
Yeah, you're never supposed to do that.
If it's spaghetti, I almost choked on a piece when I was younger, so I will cut it up if I want to.
Putting pasta in cold water, then boiling it. 81% think that's unacceptable. They say you should boil the pot first, then put the pasta in.
Also, boil it in plain water without salting. 53% of Italians say no, you have to salt the water. 36% say it's not necessary, but most chefs that I've ever watched are like, no, you need to liberally salt the water.
One thing, though, that you might not necessarily have to do, though, is putting oil in the water.
I have heard about that.
44% say it's fine. 43% say it's not. Most experts, though, say don't do that. It makes the pasta too slippery and the sauce can't cling to it properly.
Yeah, you want to cook your pasta al dente, so not quite finished. Then you put it into the pan with the warm pasta sauce, and then it kind of absorbs the sauce. So that's sort of the correct way to do it. How about breaking dry spaghetti in half so it fits in the pot? Another tie. 47% of Italians say that's unacceptable, but 46% say, no, it's fine.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't cut the pasta, because quite often we would break it in half.
Yeah.
Especially when the kids were little. I'd let them eat it, a little easier, too. Having pasta as a side dish, 72% say no. Always the main dish, but 79% think having it as a side is okay.
I feel like Italians are very good at, they make a whole meal out of it. Lots of vegetables and
maybe some
meat.
chicken or meat in there, yeah.
Rinsing pasta after you cook it, 58% of Italians say don't do that.
Putting pasta on your plate and then sauce on top of it. 44% say that's okay. 48% say no. You always mix the sauce before you serve it.
And how about garlic bread with pasta? 48% of Italians say that's unacceptable, but that's partly because a lot of people make garlic bread with the French baguette, and Italians say, no, you got to use ciabatta.
And 75% say it's okay to have spaghetti and meatballs. Those two go together like, things that go together.
Like spaghetti and meatballs.
Like spaghetti and meatballs. Now you know what to make for dinner time. Spaghetti and meatballs. I think at some point we've all been in what I would call a questionable public bathroom. When you go to any golf course, pretty much, a lot of times those porta potties in the middle of the summer are pretty nasty.
Oh, this summer, we were playing baseball somewhere, and when we arrived at the game, the porta potty was knocked over. Kids had knocked it over or something. Well, then later on, some kids showed up and they put it back upright for some reason, and then we saw some lady start to walk towards it. We're like, no, don't! You don't want to open that. I don't think you want to see what's in there.
What would be spilled all over those walls? Where a 58-year-old travel writer from the UK, his name is Graham, he spent about $170,000 traveling the planet to find the world's worst public toilets.
I mean, that's a kind of a strange passion project, but he went to 91 countries and he used the worst of the worst for a new book that is now out called Toilets of the Wild Frontier.
Good bathroom read, right?
It's a collection of the 36 worst public bathrooms he could find. Like one in China that was literally just a bathtub someone had left outside. Or in West Africa, it was a wooden chair with a hole in the seat and a bucket underneath it.
But he finally ended his quest after finding one so bad that he knew he'd never top it. It's near the Afghan border in the country of Tajikistan. So it looks like an outhouse that's about to fall down. It's built on a pile of rocks, rats, poisonous snakes everywhere. So
I'm out.
You got to be really careful.
I'm out. There's snakes there? No.
Poisonous or otherwise.
Well, and you think that sounds bad. It only has 2 walls. The other sides are just covered with a big sheet. And since there's no toilet paper, people sometimes use the sheet instead.
So that really put it over the top, I think. The fact that people were using the sheet as toilet paper probably added that extra.
Je ne sais quoi.
Right. Well, you think about toilet paper. I think we were in Cuba and we went out on some excursion, and where we went, and I don't know if this is everywhere, I could be wrong here, but where we went, there was no toilet paper in the bathrooms, but they warned you about that. You had to buy the toilet paper outside the door. So there was somebody sitting on a stool, and they would, you'd pay them a couple of dollars or whatever, and they would hand you, so you hope you're not using a lot, because then you probably have to come back out, please, sir, may I have more? So you had to pay for so many sheets or squares.
You can spare a square.
Dollar, right? So one of the worst ones I was ever in, though, was a couple of years ago. We were traveling back from Northern Ontario on Highway 144. So if you know that area at all, for anyone that's ever traveled up that way, that's the desolate highway that runs between Sudbury and Timmins. And there's only one gas station sort of rest, stop area about halfway through. Mm-hmm. While we were going, we both had to go. Badly. Mm-hmm. And I knew we were close, but I wasn't 100% sure where we were and how close we were to this halfway spot, which is near Gogama, just past Gogama area.
Okay.
In that spot. And so it was one of those roadside bathrooms, I think it's called the Watershed or something like that. So there's this little monument to where the oceans run south and north, and there, people sometimes stop and take photos. So it's a permanent bathroom that's there.
Okay.
It was the thing of nightmares. Because it was hot. It was August.
Mm-hmm. No air conditioning?
Oh, God, no. No, it's an outside thing. It's like one of those,
Yep.
terrible toilets you'd see maybe at a campground or something, right? It was so bad. I don't know the last time it was cleaned. Flies. But when you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah. You're not going to be too picky.
I'm just impressed that there was actually any toilet paper in there at all. We both actually brought in Kleenex into it and there was several stalls. And so I opened the first one. I was like, oh, no. And then I opened another. No. And it was just 4 stalls, not men's, women's. It wasn't dedicated that way. It was just toilets. And it was pretty ripe in there because it was August. Mm-hmm. There was some toilet paper, but it had the consistency of dandelion fluff. So I'm glad we had some Kleenex in the car that we brought it along with us. So that, for me, if I had to rate toilets, that would be one of my worst ones ever.
And now it's time to put some good in your morning. The good news brought to you by Almar Home Improvements. 519-351-5666.
Well, if you've ever climbed into a combine, you know that's not the easiest thing to do, and it's obviously even harder without the use of your legs.
But that's the reality for a young Saskatchewan farmer by the name of Levi. His dreams of taking over the family farm were pretty much almost destroyed when he suffered a life-changing quad accident 2 years ago. As a result, he lost the use of his legs, and anytime he wanted to help out around the farm, he was relying on his parents in order to get into the equipment. And it was that way until another farmer by the name of Merle heard about his story and stepped up to offer him something pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a retired farmer, and he said he wanted to gift him a hydraulic lift for getting into equipment on the farm. So you can only imagine how absolutely blown away he is by that offer.
Mm-hmm. So Merle himself has been in a wheelchair for nearly 30 years, so he knows the challenges that it can bring. So he wanted to continue farming, so he purchased this hydraulic lift bucket that's in the back of a cab of a pickup truck. So it's not cheap. It costs about $50,000 if you wanted to outfit this new piece of this equipment brand new. Merle's doctor told him a few years ago, though, that he needed to slow down and stop farming. his kids have now taken over the farm. So he decided once he read this news story about Levi that he's like, you know what? I'm going to give him this because I'm not using it anymore. And so that he can continue on with his farming career.
Isn't that amazing? So when Merle was in hospital years ago, surgeon actually told him there was no way he would farm again. He said, quote, I strongly believe in don't let people tell you what you can't do. It's not a can't do, it's a try it.
It's a great perspective on life.
Great attitude, right?
And I love this too. Levi and Merle have now become friends, talking about the challenges of farming. And now Levi has, someone who is in the same position that he was, but 30 years prior to find out, how did you deal with this? How did you handle that? And
the independence that he's now gaining because of this man's amazing gift. The Jays open up their playoff series as they play host to Seattle. But it was something that happened at a recent game that's got some people talking.
Yeah, this video's gone viral, has now over 200,000 views. A fan can be seen stopping his girlfriend mid-game as they walk down the stairs at the Rogers Center, or Sky Dome, to their seat in the stadium. The guy then turns around, pulls his confused girlfriend towards him, says, I love you, and kisses her, then starts to kneel down. And the young woman gasps in disbelief with her hand over her mouth. As she's anticipating he's going to pop the question. And fans sitting around there, start pulling out their phones. Even apparently the Blue Jays cameras showed up there to film it. So he kneels down on the stairs and pulls out a black box and opens it to reveal a ring pop.
She slapped him in the face, said some words. Now, some people are saying it looked like he had an actual ring. So was he trying to make a joke in that moment?
Mm-hmm. He clearly did not plan ahead. But here's the thing, though. We now live in a world where everyone is now questioning, was this real or was it all staged?
Was it staged by them?
Was it staged by the couple to get their 15 minutes of fame?
Was it staged by the team? Because apparently teams have been doing this.
Well, I've heard of that.
In various sports.
Haven't you seen some of these viral moments? And I use the air quotes around viral, where they have the fan cam and they go on someone, but then they stand up and do this elaborate dance,
or the
and
kiss
everyone starts cheering for them. And meanwhile, it's turns out they're a plant.
Or the kiss cam, they do the same kind of thing has happened with that. So a lot of people are thinking that maybe this wasn't even real at all.
Or did just the two of them come up with this, and you're gonna act all excited and then slap me when it's a ring pop? Or was it genuine? Who knows? Because we just question everything.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's Favorite Moments of the Week.